everybody. Welcome along to the Hindsight podcast. And once again, it's been an incredible ride. Just another trip around the sun, rather another trip around the football season as the football season comes to a grinding halt in many ways. And of course, lots of us have to now find a holiday job and maybe become a bit more productive members of society. But of course, the guys are in for the season finale of the podcast, and it's great to have everyone here. Starting off with Emeka, who, when he first made his debut on the show, a lot of people did mention that he wasn't quite, match fit, and of course, didn't quite get used to his teammates. But nowadays, he, plays point guard for us. He's also a fan of the Lakers. It's good to have him here as well.
Thank you.
And of course, we've got Lakule Rufai, who, a man for all weathers in many regards. Mr. Versatile, be it Mike 3, 2, or 1. Is always ever ready, and of course, going by his analogies, you get the sense that he grew up with a lot of old people. So good to have him here as well. Next up is Nyomba Monday, who's an amazing gentleman in many regards, and I've got to say that his laughter is one for many, not just himself, but also he's got a cult following. Gen Z cult following. And that is brilliant. But I tell you what, and this is take my word for it. Never put a bet until he says banger, right? Next up is Adeli Falana, who managed to be on the show today. And I've got to say that many times on the podcast, if you watched us, we always have a team of 4. And those days, the team of 4 would have been possible if not for his reliability, always on standby. But then, that's what we have academies for, isn't it? So it's good to have him. Come on.
You've got to put your hands together for that. Come on.
Let's pull it off, no?
Brilliant, man.
I celebrate you. I celebrate you.
Today I feel Qatari. Just making sure that United make sure that the Qataris are the ones in place. But gentlemen, it's good to have everyone here for the season finale. And IBK, I've got to mention you as well. Always the butt of the jokes, and that's never easy. So wherever you are, we are totally behind you as well. And for all the people who watch us on the podcast, it is a real pleasure every time to welcome you here to the podcast. And for all the ones who remind us when we haven't posted, it is an absolute joy to read your messages every single time. And of course, everyone sends us messages. What we're just lacking is that, just that push to make it to the final thing. But I get the sense that just like Man City, found a way to get over the hurdles of Champions League hurdle, we would get our promised land one of these days. So, gentlemen, I am so glad to welcome everybody here because I did see somewhere on Twitter, someone mentioned that a policeman could stop you nowadays and say you collect student loan. So why are you driving a GLE? But someone mentioned that at the rates Bubu is signing everything, not Bubu anyways. Bat is signing everything. One day we'll just wake up and see Neymar and Messi.
Just signing, but once you know the sign-on fee.
Once you know the sign-on fee and whatnot. This is a good time to have finished university, to be fair, because my sisters went to private federal universities, and I can't imagine all the changes happening and how you'd have to adjust to that. But good to have you here. Emeka, what's good?
Nah, it's good to be here. Sad times, season is over. But it's good. At least now we can focus on
at least now you can relinquish the
My
remotes.
wife is happy.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it's actually good to refresh and recharge.
Yep.
Being a Man United fan, I'm not going to lie, it's not be easy.
So it's interesting, right? So when the actual players are going through preseason, they need to know, the fans also.
Honestly,
just chilling, we're recharging.
I appreciate it now more than, obviously, when I was younger, now it's I can actually get to breathe. NBA season is over.
Yep.
Let me just focus on work, focus on family, just chill, refresh. And next season, be disappointed again.
I've got to ask you because I'm meaning to ask again. Every time you're on TV, who makes the recording?
So on
who does the recording? Because I see
there's like a prompter.
No. Who does the on-screen recording?
Oh, I see. Oh, is she? Yeah. So she does.
Right.
So she helps me.
So she can take a break from.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's a nice big ass TV you have there. So
I try.
Nice stuff. Are you selling anytime? I'm due for an upgrade.
Decluttering.
Please, when you're decluttering, let me know. On Monday, you watch more matches than anybody. So I feel for you the most. So what are you going to do with your spare time?
So I'm on my remote, just looking for where to watch football matches. I caught one yesterday, playoff South African First Division playoff.
This man is actually addicted
South
to
African
First Division
playoff. So Cape Town Stars are now back in the Premiership in South. Yes. So I'm just looking for football to watch.
You know what's interesting about Inyobong? The first time I went to Inyobong's house, it was inspiring, to say the least, for a football fan. And I got in there, I saw they had on the wall, we watch football in this household, something like that.
Yep. And guess who wrote it?
The wife.
We're for that, yeah?
It's incredible.
So was she like that before you guys? Or
No.
you kind of got her more into it?
So
now,
we dated for a long time.
Yep.
We dated for a very long time. So she understood the memo.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
They have
this
to.
is a football man.
Right.
You don't know. For someone like me now, I'm not married. I'm looking at people's bio. I'm trying to see what club they this. I'm looking like you don't support anybody.
You know how you maybe you meet a babe and you're riding your car or driving rather, and you play a track and you're just hoping that she
can connect.
She picks somebody and she doesn't connect. You're just like, you know. Well, look, I never quite get the reason you button up till the very top, right? So look,
I know the reason.
Whether Nee is wearing native or is wearing sweatshirts.
I know the reason.
Tell me.
I know the reason.
Tell me.
I don't care what reason you have. But you see, when people do this, yeah, and when you've met Nee and you had conversations with him, this is how you know. I think this thing that Nee does is like a smoke screen. So when he goes into a new place, they're looking at him,
he's a gentle, serious guy.
Gentleman. Until you actually get to know the guy.
Yeah.
And
you're wondering.
But Nee is my movie plug, right? if I need new movies and I'm stranded, my list on Netflix is full.
Please don't say where he gets it.
I hate no. See, look, you know.
I didn't know where they get a movie. Shall I watch movie?
Nigerians are so arrogant now. They'll be like, is that on Netflix? Is that on Prime? Oh, God, they watch movies. Before Netflix, they watch our movies. What's going on? Like everybody's on Netflix and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. But honestly, I've been thinking about what I'll do with my, we've back at home. I think I might travel to see my parents. Or have a small kid at home. My mom was telling me she was helping him do assignments and whatnot. And I just said, look, if that's what people are doing, I'm not coming. Because you feel like you know everything, but
sometimes I think back and I'm like, okay, all these things are really, sometimes you can remember names, but you just realize that you don't understand anything about how that particular thing works. Can anyone here remember swords?
Yep. Say what?
Swords. Yeah.
No. Is that the name of a person, animal, place, or thing?
But you can remember. There was this. Obviously, you can remember Pythagoras.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can remember.
Bodmas.
I cannot say
Bodmas.
Pythagoras. Yeah. Calculus.
I don't forget those things. What do you call
swords were those ones that you have a square root and the number outside of the square.
Oh yeah, I
root,
remember swords. Yeah, I remember swords. Yeah.
Yo, like I can remember the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know anything about.
I saw something on Twitter. I said, before you marry fine girl, we get breasts, get this, all these things. Remember, say no, be you go to do assignment for your picking.
Yes, no. Yeah, before you start having problems,
And I think now that you mentioned it, I saw somewhere on Twitter as well that there was a lady that tweeted, and she seemed really serious. So put it now in case we have doctors. Is that actually that from the father, the child gets majorly their, maybe physical appearance, personality, something like that. From the mother, the brain,
the brains behind the job,
IQ, So I don't know how true. If that's true,
yeah, we're in a lot of trouble, man.
Me, I'm not married. So I can't find. You are good.
I'm worried for you.
You're good. I would have married if I wasn't good.
Good.
I'm worried for us.
No, you're worried for us.
I'm worried, bro. Seriously worried.
But some assignments are just ridiculous. The worst, and why I never liked, why I should have been an art student or someone in the humanities. Because you see a question, somebody says, a ladder stands at 300 cm. If a man weighs 70 kg and climbs at an obtuse angle, when is his birthday? Why would you ask such a question? Like, what's the plan? I never liked those things. But I get the feeling that one of the problems we have in the world now is, someone said the problem started when we were carried for 9 months. But then, you have to now you have to start counting from like age 1 again when you're now born. You're like, but you say, I don't know. 9 months already, so how come you continue from? So that's where the problem. That's where all the problems started.
Rigging don't do
from the beginning.
9 months.
From the beginning,
From day one.
Make it like somebody help me out.
Doctor, just come. I'm supposed to be a year already. As I just come.
Have some experience. What's happening? So don't talk
That's
about
actually brilliant.
nice.
That's actually brilliant.
I tell you what, I have 2 people on my WhatsApp that load me with all the memes. So I see people text me and say, "Where do you get all the memes from?" Moses Praise. I have to put you out.
Empress
He's a terrorist.
Empress is
I don't know where he gets his.
Empress is a nice TV presenter, very good at his job, one of the best, but the premium joker. I'm sorry, he's premium
Big
joker.
shout out, Empress.
Shouts to
The big
Empress.
boss.
But one of the things that made me really laugh, was someone said, say joy comes in the morning, say see time. See time.
8 don't
pass.
What's this guy's name? Brain Jota.
He say,
Came out in the morning.
he say,
Came out in the morning. You see, babe, they record TikTok video. He said, wait to nobody knock.
Nobody knocks. Say,
He said, wait to say now 8 to.
it's 8 o'clock now.
But they say joy
comes in the morning. What?
I mean that me. She night never.
you see anybody come here?
No, man. It's incredible. Also, one of the ways that life is rigged from the beginning is those things you sing, in nursery rhymes and say, I remember when I was a soldier. When were you a soldier? At which point? So you see, we have been taught to lie from the very beginning. So when there is it's incredible. Today we're gonna have a great time, and I get the feeling that I'm still adjusting to making sure I give these guys attention equally.
Yeah.
So
now what people like Luka Modric, Kevin De Bruyne,
but then again,
Bernardo Silva.
But then again, I pride myself in playing, setting the tempo. So
no, I thought you were a coach.
No. different games, different strategies. Different games for different strategies. But we're gonna have a great time today. All the guys here have picked out their team of the season, both of the Premier League and the Champions League. I hear some La Liga guys saying these guys, Premier League guys. But you have to admit that the drama in the Premier League is unprecedented. Yeah. We just walked into the studio and we saw Premier League fixtures already. These guys, they know how to hold your attention. They're making sure that you don't lose their grip.
All of a sudden, I'm already thinking.
about
Nottingham Forest that beat me. Una go chop am.
Even the transfer rumors that you see. Like, I know this is very... Probably they were like, you know what? Let's keep putting out there.
It is such an incredible product.
Because if you go through the news, you can see how conflicting they are, but they keep putting out there and the conversations keep going.
Yeah. It's such an incredible product. I think that, if you're modeling a product after something, one of the best is the Premier League. It's incredible. I'm sure all the broadcast rights holders are, working their socks off to come up with, new montages, new all that crazy stuff. Look, I remember when they changed the Premier League theme song, and we all thought, remember it was dun, 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 and when they changed it, everyone was angry. But then we got used to that one. Then they changed that one again.
Yeah,
incredible stuff, right?
They changed the logo.
Yeah,
I can imagine when they are trying to make changes like that. I can imagine the amount of entries they have. If they ask people to proposals, people bringing in ideas on how. I can imagine what they do because
they probably have a team of professionals they work with.
At
that level, if you want people to bring in proposals, you're probably going to be torn like 1 million ways.
No, I tell you what. I believe that in a production space, the best way to work is to allow everybody feel comfortable enough to be themselves.
True. Yeah.
That way, the best ideas can come from anybody in the room. How about we? I mean, think about the idea of when the players were in glass tubes, coming out, like
that's way back. That
was way back.
Late.
Well, I think you get to a point where like almost like Apple, where like we're so dedicated to the Premier League now, like almost anything except they completely mess everything up.
Yeah.
Almost anything they give us, we'll collect.
The one thing that is threatening the league is people like Anthony Taylor.
And
honestly, the league, they've got to fix it. Like the referees are threatening the league. Look, if you're an Arsenal fan, right, and you never win the league for another 10 years, right?
You'll never forget last season.
You never forget last season.
Yeah.
Those apologies, what did they stand for?
You called somebody and say sorry.
Sorry. If you're Everton and you got relegated, for example.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling. Even for the Europa League final, if what happened didn't happen, Anthony Taylor getting attacked and razzled at the airport, they probably are going to the point where they will be like, oh, we apologize to Roma.
Yeah.
Probably.
I agree. So in many ways, I've thought about it. That's the only thing that, and there is antecedent for it because the Serie A was the biggest football league at the time with some of the best players before the
Premier League
Council
boom.
Poli,
Council
the
Poli
entire
problem happened.
thing.
Yeah.
So there's a real risk there to be had. And I mean, what are we talking about? Same thing with Nigerian league, right? I mean, people stopped watching the games because you knew that at the death of the game, a penalty was manufactured.
Exactly.
Bro, just last week it was on Tuesday. We were talking about the Super Six that happened at the Mbolaji Arena. People don't have this to buy tickets, and then the economic situation fuel, myself and Empress were talking about, back in the day, people walk to the National Stadium. When National Stadium was what it was, it didn't matter. People walked from anywhere just to go and see. Back then, league football in Nigeria was massive.
A few years ago, I think 3 years ago, I was standing by the stadium. And a legend of the game, was driving past. Friday Igbo, played for the national team. He was driving past. He was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going on to the island. So he put me in the car and we're discussing and we're talking Nigerian football. He said when he was playing for Abiola Babes.
Yeah. Woo.
And when he was playing for Abiola Babes, the one thing Abiola did for them that time, he made them very comfortable. That as a Nigerian league player, he walked into supermarkets, walk into stores, like in Ibadan or Abeokuta. He just realized that games were not on TV like that, but just realized that many people knew them because he played in the league. Yeah. He walked into supermarkets and people are giving him stuff for free.
That doesn't happen now.
It doesn't happen because people don't even know who plays in the league. And another advantage was that those players were playing, some of them were playing the national team. Yeah. So they were really famous. And the reason the league was famous was because a team could come from, Calabar Rovers could come from Calabar and come to Lagos and beat stationary stores 3-0.
Yeah.
And nothing will happen. There was an integrity.
Yeah.
Now, when you look around the league, and the level of violence also, and that's because people are not doing what they should do. Credit to the IMC. I thought last season was baby steps. I saw a lot of teams conceding in the 9 minute, home teams conceding in the 94th minute. Like, how do you go to someone score in the 94th minute?
Yeah. Danger now is that it seems like they want to go back to the 20 team proper next season.
Yeah. If they do it,
if
it's 10 steps backward because you've got to look at the league and say, we're not there yet in terms of marketability. For instance, just go to South Africa. What the South Africans are doing with their league is unbelievable. Yeah. You hear how much Rulani Mokwena is earning at Mamelodi Sundowns. And they've got great
It's a very young coach.
A 36-year-old coach. Earning as much as money that monthly will pay the salaries of every MPFL coach. So we've got to think about how can we make this thing so attractive? Because in the end, if I can trust that I can go to a stadium and watch a football match and somebody will not manipulate it, it will be exciting, it will be interesting, why wouldn't I go there? It's football.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then we've got to think about timing as well. Because in the end, I see MPFL, you can't compete with the Premier League. You see, for instance, you should look at what the South Africans do. They can't compete with, viewership in the Premier League. So timing is also important.
Even the Champions League don't like when Premier League play midweek games.
Yes. You can't fix matches when people want to watch Premier League. So you've got to think about it. Even in the Italian league, La Liga, some of these leagues, they try to avoid Premier League timing.
What I've realized mostly is that there's our own like this with the Dwam kind of idea with the league.
We can't be like the Oyibos. You hear those things.
Even if that's the case,
right?
If we can't be like the Oyibos, is based on we want to do things the right way based on our ecosystem. I'm absolutely for that. Yeah. But the idea is that like this with the Dwam because it suits them. That. Yeah, because if you look at the level where the Champions League, look at the level where the Champions League is at. Before the final of the Champions League, there was that video where they did a flash mob in a mall.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And that's the Champions League.
Yep.
So clearly, you have to do a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with that. Lots of anecdotes as far as NPFL goes. Hopefully they could look. I think.
Sorry, Yubi.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the supposed tour trophy parade that Mayimba did.
I didn't bother.
Please don't see it.
Don't see it.
I didn't bother. I'm still traumatized with the one.
Don't
Try not to see it.
Are you from Enugu?
No, from Delta.
Delta? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Delta?
AZ is like annual channel.
Where you know for Delta? Where you know?
No.
It's not far from Asaba.
If they go Delta, go illegal.
I go to Delta like a lot.
I know
Asaba. I know Kwale. I know.
Say you do your international passport for it. After that, where else is for Delta?
You say I know where?
You know your international passport for Asaba. So where else you know?
I don't know a place in Delta State. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sapele, Warri, Asaba. Kwale, Ugwashi. There's the one you get to before you get to Asaba on your way. I can't remember the name now.
Which kind of taxi be that?
And yeah, like
of course you go pass somewhere.
no, it's a very mention the
There's
Agbo. You get God bless. You know now. There's Agbo. Agbo is a popular place now. There's Agbo.
Let me tell you a secret.
Your agenda no go agenda.
Agbo you want to talk about.
Let me tell you a secret, right? I know all the major towns from here to Cross River. On the road, if you're going by road.
Okay.
But
so I don't reach there.
like I know that when you leave Lagos, you get when you leave Lagos.
Let me tell you something.
Benin bypass. I know
if you actually know, bro. If you actually know those places, you can't. If you just know the names. Wait, if you just know the names and you've not been there, you can't tell the stories like I can.
Okay.
You definitely
so
cannot.
tell us one story about Ubashi.
Okay. Night of I can't remember. Was it
It's the night of worship.
must have been June, July, thereabouts, 2022. On my way back from Warri to Sapele. This was my first time, right? So what you would find, anybody that has gone there can confirm this. What you would find, it was pitch black, right? We're coming from Warri to Sapele.
What time of the day?
Like 8 at night, 8:30, 9.
Sun is shining for your own night. Somebody say pitch black. You say what time?
8:30, 9 p.m. So what you will find mostly were roadblocks of anti-smuggling. Anti-oil bunkering or something like that. That's what, there's a name you get. That's what you find. And they always have this local traditional lamp. You get by the roadside.
It can burn for 2 days.
And they have this thing. So when you're coming, you are seeing the lamp from afar. So you are not sure. For someone like me, where it was the first time I made that trip, I don't sure which lamp be that.
Yeah.
You get. So, bro, literally, my heart was in my mouth all the way from Warri to Sapele.
I could never travel at night. I don't know how people do.
Bro,
My gate man, I'll see him. He said, I'm traveling today. Oh, God, I'm traveling today. I said, today. 4 o'clock. Say today. I'm like, should this guy they want me? He said, yes, night boss. I said, night boss. Bro,
that day I was in the car, like people
getting a lot of mind.
Bro, people were sitting down like it was normal. Like there were 2 people in the car. There was a girl, there was one other man. We were making calls like it was normal. He said, I they come, tell us, don't be that place for Sapele. I they come, I got so rich,
yeah,
bro,
that's so comfortable.
Making calls like
people that do it all the
from
time.
my mouth. I'm like,
yeah, people that do all the time. You know, yeah, it's incredible. I want to start off with, you know, of course, we're going to do Premier League team of the season first. I think everybody's going to do a Premier League team. Then we'll find a combined team of the season. But I was just thinking about it. Obviously, off the back of Champions League, we've got to start with that, right? And City, of course, have now won the treble. That story has been done and dusted. But, you know, when I think back at their entire season, and obviously they won the Premier League 5 in 7 seasons, and you've got to compare to some of the best teams in Europe, you know, in time past. You know, United's treble team of 99, Chelsea's 04, 05 team. That team didn't win the treble, but they won the double, right? And Arsenal's Invincibles team, City's 2018, 19 team as well, 100 points team.
It was 17-18.
That's 17-18, right. Where does this team stand in? Mourinho's treble team, you know, in 2010. As far as, I think you have to look at it from 2 ways, right? If you're one for style, you get you have to look at it from a different perspective. But if you're one for results and,
Get it done.
getting it done, which team is the most, which treble team stands out the most
So
to you?
treble team or team?
Treble team.
Okay, so treble team. So that's Inter, United.
What? Team. Because I watched Jose Mourinho's 04-05 team. And I don't think any team would replicate that level of efficiency.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's the word.
Earlier.
I think so. If we look at it again, for people watching, like these are some of the best teams that have ever played football.
The game, yeah.
So to analyze this, we're splitting hairs. So if you pick one over the other, these are the best teams that have ever played football. So for me, when I was thinking about this last night, and for instance, this treble team, if you're looking at team of the season or team of an era, the reason why I wouldn't pick this treble team for Man City, first of all, what was their core team? Their core team that won this treble didn't start to the last half, like the last third of the season. With this Grealish, Bernardo Silva, John Stones thing, midfield, all this stuff. This is what you now say that this was their team of the season. Earlier on in the season, they were playing different combinations. Foden, Mahrez, this and that. So what was the team of this season? It happened at the end. So I think for me, the difference for them this season was, or not the difference, but the main reason they won was, for me, who will go down as the best manager of all time. He's not that yet, but he will go down as that at the end. And I think he was the main reason. Because you see, Akonji will come on left centre back one day. Ake will come one day. Kyle Walker, that we say, I'm sure a lot of us have him in our teams for team of the season. He did start Champions League final. They won. So you mix and match. You start the season with Mahrez, you start the season with Foden, then you come, you bring in Grealish. So I wouldn't say this team now is maybe the team of the Premier League era or whatever. I think there was maybe this most special group or whatever you want to call it, but not team.
Yeah, because I go back to I haven't still picked my team. I'm conflicted between the United '99 team, which was an incredible team, and the Chelsea team. All with greater respects to the Inters of this world, but also just before you go. No. We'll pick the Barca team as well.
I thought okay. Yeah, of course.
I think we quite know that. In my opinion, I think everybody knows that Barcelona team is a bit above every other team in world football. So we sort of like left them out of the entire thing. I don't think anybody's got a different opinion. No.
I thought we're looking more,
So more Premier League, type
centric,
thing.
Yeah.
That team was divine.
Yeah. Right.
It was divine.
But when I look at what City have done this year, what comes to my mind is I give them credit for what they've done. Like you mentioned, it's not easy to have different pieces come in and still do the job. However, Chelsea were operating at a level where you had Arsenal, playing really good.
And they were like an outsider.
Yeah. Previously unbeaten, so knocked them off their perch there. United, who else was doing well at the time? So basically, you had those two teams that were competing at a very good level. When I look at what City did this season, honestly, I cannot say that Arsenal gave them a competition.
Well, they did, but slightly.
Maybe faded off.
I think again, like we said, it's just the City team is more of a group than an 11.
And even when you cross to European football as well, where was the standout team? Where was the standout team? Where when United beat Bayern Munich in the final, and Bayern Munich.
It feels like it's unfair to take just a little bit away from this particular City team because of the teams around them. At the end of the day, now who day you go play? You're not going to invent another team for you to play.
No, but I also get what you be saying because
I do, of course.
In the end, you've got to look at this season and say, how good was Bayern Munich this season? I don't think they've been that good.
Of course.
How good was Real Madrid this season?
Remember the Bayern?
Take the 100 points.
Yeah.
The 100-point City, right? So my essence for this conversation is I've seen lots being made about the treble, and it is an incredible. It puts your name, at the, it's like hanging your jersey in the city. You get it, that kind of thing. But I think it's a bit lazy to say once you win the treble, you become the team of. Because I don't think this City team as good as the team of the.
So can we set the criteria? So are we talking about, like, let's say, how we're doing team of the seasons, standout teams. So we're looking at, again, like Mourinho's team. So are we doing like a kind of thing where it's team of the season, or we're saying like this City group is the best, maybe might be the best ever because they won the treble?
Yeah, so
that's what we're doing.
I've seen people say, let's set it rightly so, right? The team of the season will come. We'll do that, right? But
Total.
off the back
Okay.
of their Champions League success. Would I pick the City team over their 17-18 team? No.
No, I wouldn't.
Because then you had Liverpool who did 99. Do you get? So you had real competition. Do you get? City eventually still won the league by how many points?
Okay, so
How many points did City win the league?
Well, which one?
By 5 points.
This is year 5.
And they drew their last game or something like that, right? So when you look back at it, how much pushback was there from Arsenal when it mattered the most?
Yeah.
Do you get?
So since I started, just so I can say, I'll now say who I think mine is, then I guess we can all do that. So as I've said with that City one, I say it's more of the collective, I think, than that team. Pieces coming in and out and having a manager like I think Pep was very, very much on point, especially after the World Cup.
Yeah.
Zoned in. You could see him at the Champions League final, like his life was on the line, literally.
And the privilege of depth in squad.
Depth in squad.
Because you have to put
And that's why
that
you
in.
give him credit for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, I think where I look at it, I don't just want to look at one individual season. I look at so let's say like the 07-08 United team. I look at the core of that team and what they achieved. Because if it's just like, okay, who is the best team of all time based on one season, I think you have to judge almost like based on the context of the era plus like a semblance of dominance, whether in your league or in Europe. So let's say Chelsea now, that core of that 04-05 core, you can't just say, okay, just that season alone. You use also like, okay, what happened the next year? How did they do in Europe? You know what I mean? So I think, for instance, City, they had a better domestic season last year when they won the league with scoring, I said before, 99 league goals, more points than this season, but they ended up winning more in all competitions. So now we're saying, okay, maybe this is the best City team ever because of what they've done elsewhere. Yeah. So for my pick is the best team, and I went back and forth with City, this City team, the 17-18 City team, the United 07-08 team, the Mourinho, we're going to go with the Mourinho 04-05. So for me, the reason I pick United 07-08 because I think that core, that team, they also three-peated. Champions League, they went unbeaten for almost 2 years, from September 2007.
Won it and went unbeaten to the final.
Exactly. September 2007 up to the final in 2009. 25 games unbeaten. Sorry. Yeah, 25 games unbeaten. There's today still the record. 25 unbeaten games in the Champions League, 07-09.
Yeah.
And they dominated the league as well as City did. And I think for me, when you look at the core of that team, because we also have to look at individuals.
Yeah.
You look at that team. Let's compare it to this City team now, right? The front three: Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Grealish, again, not
Grealish,
like for
Haaland.
like, because Grealish they changed the system. But I say Grealish, Haaland, and Bernardo Silva. I think I'll take Tevez.
Of course.
Rooney.
Then
you have arguably, along with Carvalho, John Terry, Ashley Cole, you have arguably the best defense in Premier League history. Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Patrice Evra, who was a core. Then Wes Brown and Neville, we know swapped. Then Van der Sar, along with Czech, Michael, arguably the best ever. So I think for me, when you look at the longevity of their dominance as well, 06, 07, 07, 08, 08, 09, plus the Champions League.
08 was when they won the Champions League.
Yeah, 08, yeah. So that 07, 08, that's the season Ronaldo scored 42 goals. But they broke through 06, 07 with Ronaldo and Rooney. Then they won it again. So I think for me, that team, that 07, 08 team and that core, for me, just, again, like we said, these are all some of the best teams ever. Like, you can have an argument for all of them. But when you look at what they also did in Europe, because only Man City as well did it in Europe, because Mourinho's team, unfortunately, they fell short. Yeah. Arsenal fell short.
Got to two semi-finals.
They got to two semi-finals. The Liverpool won that that ghost goal. Yeah. So when you look at what they did in Europe, 25 games unbeaten in Europe, won the Champions League, got to the final the next year, won the league 3 times as well as City have done now. I think for me that core and that 07-08 team is probably the best.
Let me quickly go after Emeka.
Go after.
Emeka, to be fair, gives a nice context to it.
I want to go right after because it makes a lot of sense. Because honestly, I would have gone with, because we were saying the actual team, like he said, are we saying, because...
So you have to set your criteria. I guess you have to foremost set a criteria for it.
The first thing I was going to say why I wasn't going to go with this particular City team was we had teams before that were more assured. Like, anything could be going on. But even with the players, with how they performed, and even with the fans watching, it was almost like, no worry, we did. It was almost like, no worry. They score us first. Don't worry, we did. Like there was more, and maybe there's a bit of a bias in the sense that we don't have a lot of City fans around us. Maybe that plays a role. But I remember way back in the day, like the 04-05 team, the Mourinho team, it was almost like we they go watch ball. It was almost like when we come back.
Can we say our top three? Can we say our top three after, like maybe after everyone?
Right, yeah,
because you have to like kind of.
And I think that was why I asked the question that was 08 was when the United team won the Champions League. And that's why I agree with Emeka. I'll go with them. I'll go with that United team because whether we like it or not, Jose was fired, but that was Jose's team that got into that final, the Champions League final. That was Jose's team. You understand? If Chelsea had won that final, I probably would have gone with that team right now because that team was incredible.
Yeah, which brings me to the points. I think one of the things we do very well on the pod is not going the sensational routes. You know, we're not the headline type podcast. So, because I see all the headlines and I like it. I understand what it is for.
Yep.
I understand what audience it serves. Right. However, you know, God put some of us on this earth to be a bit more, nuts and bolts and stuff like that.
And they're going to say, "Oh, you hate Pep Guardiola."
Yeah,
I can see it coming.
You
say, "I hate Pep Guardiola."
You look at it and think the treble is a gloss on a season, right? But you mentioned dominance. Can you say treble United 99, and you've picked the 07-08 team? I think the 07-08 team beats the 99 team.
Yeah, so that's why exactly.
You see, the 07-08 team beats the 99 team.
Or for example...
And maybe in that City, Sané, Sterling, that's 100 points.
100
Sané,
points.
Sterling,
Yeah,
Aguero.
They
They easily could as well.
Because sometimes, for instance, the 99 team that United won, you know, sometimes there's a touch of fortune. Yeah. You know, United won the Champions League in 99 by a touch of fortune. Bayern absolutely battered United.
Or Inter still, for example.
They got to the final.
If they game 2 times, Bayern probably beat them.
They played the final of the FA Cup, the semi-final of the FA Cup against Arsenal. Before Giggs scored that amazing run, Dennis Bergkamp had an 89-minute penalty saved. Yeah. If that goes in, United are out of the FA Cup. So there's a touch of fortune. But when you talk about that 08, 09, like the 07, 08 United
touch of fortune,
team,
like we've seen with City this season.
You know, of course.
When is your time?
You know, because I mean, for all the talk about Arsenal crumbling in the end, you know, you've got to look at some of some things and say, if maybe Arsenal had a bit more luck, you know, with some decisions, you know, Saka missing a penalty at West Ham, maybe.
Or let's not even say luck, if they have a bit more squad depth.
Yeah, of course. You know, so, but that 07, 08 United team and even the Chelsea team, I would pick the Chelsea team 05 because
I'll pick the Chelsea team as well.
I thought that team was, even the Arsenal team that won the league unbeaten.
I'll take that back. I'll pick the United team.
No.
I just remember Ronaldo was there.
Even the Arsenal team that won even the Arsenal team
team
that won the league unbeaten did not look unbeatable like that Chelsea team. There was not a sense that
No,
but he's right.
Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said.
You don't do this to me twice in a week. Twice in a week.
Listen.
I like
He's
right.
right.
Better.
He's
right. He helped me out.
He's right.
Listen.
I agree.
I'm an Arsenal fan.
I agree with you.
But every time that season, there was that nerve about, let's not lose this match. The Chelsea team 04-05 season.
Stranglehold.
Every time you watch them, you were hoping that they will concede one
Bro, they
goal.
considered 15.
You were hoping
goals.
that 15. If you concede
Just one game. They
Penalty.
They lost that one game.
Anelka
Penalty against City.
It was one game they lost.
One.
Against City, they could have gone
Chelsea
unbeaten.
lost the game.
It was a penalty against City.
Hold on.
We
Chelsea
need to
played
put
the game
Mourinho's
and
jersey in the
lost.
rafters.
Chelsea played the game and lost 4-1. I can remember sitting in a viewing center somewhere off a car road, bro.
Right.
Chelsea lost the game 4-1. They had scored 4-0. And when, I think it was Blackburn, they scored one. That season, the opponent scored one. And we jubilated at the viewing center. Chelsea conceded a goal.
Okay, one.
After scoring 4. That team, I don't think anybody thought that
Was it Brad
you
Friedel
could
that
beat
was in
that
goal?
team. And that's why I'm saying that the Arsenal unbeaten team was so great. But they didn't look like, until they did it.
Until they did it.
They didn't look like they were going to do it.
I have to say
So
that.
listen,
I have to say that. You know, when you're sitting on the window And you see the plane, you took some, but you landed.
There were 12 draws there. There were definitely some close. There were some close shaves. But that Chelsea team, like it's said 15 goals considered. They drew just 8. And again, I want you to go next. But like as fans, we also have to look at this. Is it if Arsenal went 38 wins, 12 draws. Chelsea went 38 wins, 38 games. Sorry, Arsenal went 38 games, 12 draws. Chelsea went 38 games, and they drew 8 games and lost 1. Right. 15 goals. 15 goals. So not that easy. Okay, so Arsenal did it, which the most important thing is to do it, right?
Yeah.
But if you draw 12 games, like why have Arsenal had a better season? Because it was a year after. We're not looking at context 20 years later that one team did this, so City are now getting 100 points. So because Man U won the treble with 79 points, I think this was a year after, right? Arsenal did it. They go unbeaten. So why is that? They both won the league. So why is that better than a team that considered 15 goals, lost 1 game by penalty, won more games, but because they lost 1 game, it's like
invincible.
It's like this.
That's why.
Please. Having said that, please.
Everybody.
This man no agree.
Let's not be unfortunate with Thierry Henry.
This man no agree.
2001 and 2002, Arsenal did the double.
But no,
Won the league.
you're not even going to say 2020. You might as well say 2001.
Okay, 2001, 2002, Arsenal did the double.
080.
They won the league. They won the FA Cup. And they wrapped up the league at Old Trafford when they defeated Manchester United. And the following season, they almost went unbeaten. When Wayne Rooney scored that screamer at Everton. And they asked us, Wenger, that do you think that this team can actually go unbeaten?
He had told the players that year. He had told the players that they could go unbeaten.
They can actually go unbeaten. And probably if Wayne Rooney had not scored that goal, maybe Arsenal would have done 2 unbeaten. So it tells you one thing about... It was talking about the core of the team.
Football age they use.
Calm down. Why I'm saying this is because you look at that team from that 2002
You're saying because we're having a conversation.
to 2004. I mean, if not for that, when Rooney, probably Arsenal would have won that league, that 2008.
It's the same way we're saying Arsenal did it.
Yeah.
So nobody can take it away from them.
So let's...
But we're just creating...
We're just analyzing it a bit
You have
further.
not been looking at that particular team. That is what I'm saying. I mean, that's
the Arsenal team the following season.
No, like before, just before.
2002,
He's saying the team
2003,
from 2002.
2004. You're not looking at that season. I mean,
But that's why you're here. Now, so you can,
why you here now?
If
okay, that's what I'm telling you guys.
This bottle where you bought it, Richard. You choose it for this.
If you don't look at you go look at. I mean,
No, again, like I said, like all these teams are.
We would have known.
You like say,
Like we said,
just come
would have known.
Are you any opinion of them?
Maybe if Wayne Bridge had not scored that away goal at Highbury, just maybe.
Arsenal. I'm sorry.
Just maybe.
No, we can't use that one because if Arsenal Champions League,
Arsenal finish go collect from Monaco.
Arsenal constantly. You guys in Champions League. I'm sorry. That's you can't say
maybe
if you didn't like. That's what you guys normally
Yeah.
do.
No, but
Yeah.
that was the best team around that.
And like,
you now went to Barcelona.
and that's what
2004.
That's what tainted that season a bit because Champions League. You guys flopped at home. That you guys were so dominant. United also beat you guys in the FA Cup semi-final. So it's like that was again. These are the best teams ever. That was an incredible team.
Yeah.
But like, just because you managed to draw 12 games and you didn't lose one.
How can you say you managed?
No, I'm saying comparing. I'm saying no.
Why didn't Chelsea
No, but that's my
Why didn't
point.
Manchester United do it under
The draw of Premier League, that's small.
But that's my
you
point.
can't just call it
No,
just because you managed
no. So that's my
draw
point.
12
No,
games.
so you won the league. So you
Why
won.
did they beat us?
So you won the league. So my point is because both of you won the league. So if you win, you play 38, you draw 12, and you don't lose any game. Fair enough, you won the league. But why? Just because you didn't lose one game, what does that make it better? You see the team like next season
because they didn't lose. That's why it's the better season.
So I'm
I'm
going to ask you one question, right? And I hope you answer as honestly as possible, right?
And that Chelsea ended your team.
Would you take 2 draws over 1 win and 1 loss in a title push? In a title running,
I mean,
right?
if I end up
why not? Out of 10 games, 8 wins. Out of 10 games, 8 wins and 2 losses.
Listen to the question.
In a title running, right? You have, last 4 games to go. 4 games to go. And you've won 2 games already, so you have 2 more games to go. And they give you the option of drawing 2 games, right? Or winning 1 and losing 1. And The other team, those
no need to talk about the other team.
No, hold on.
I mean, he has to talk about the other team.
No, I'm revising.
It's on the point difference.
So the games are, those are 2 games that are outstanding games, right? And your opponent has finished playing their games, right? What would you have? Would you rather 2 draws or 1 loss and 1 win?
You can't just ask that question.
But you don't know before you're playing.
It depends on the point difference now. That's what I'm saying. Of course, that's not new then that we had this.
Okay. You know what? Let me bottom line it, right? Would you rather take 2 draws
or a win and
a loss?
If the 2 draws, I mean, if I'm going to win the league with the 2 draws, why not?
Well, that's not realistic because the win and the loss gets you more points.
The simple point is
the win and the loss gets you more points. That's why that's not realistic. Anytime a manager sits down,
so the point is trying to make it. The point is trying to make it
because that's the first thing to win the league.
If a team lost 1 game and you went unbeaten, both of you won the league, right? And we know what we saw, that this team was, the efficacy of this team was better than this team.
Okay, and the team that lost one game, the team that lost 1 game won more games.
You know what I asked?
One more games.
Which team do you think was the better team? And I don't know which one is better. But which one do you think was the better team?
Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough,
good,
right?
Good.
What was the record between the Arsenal team and that Chelsea team at that period? Mourinho and Wenger at that period.
They beat them like thief now.
It was draw. That season it was draw.
Wenger was not beating Mourinho.
Mourinho was not even in the out.
I said no, 05, 04, 05. Yes.
04, 05. It wasn't even Chelsea that ended on.
No, my point is during that period of the best, you said the core of that Arsenal team, right? I'm saying Chelsea used to dominate you guys.
Of course.
Like easily, right?
Before Mourinho came.
Yeah.
Arsenal were dominating before Mourinho came.
Yeah. And we're talking about 05, 04, 05 versus
Mourinho team now.
Did they dominate Arsenal?
We're not talking
the problem with YouTube clips is that you might not have the full information.
No, this is not my YouTube clip. I'm telling you.
I'm just saying.
I saw the game. I'm telling you, I saw the game. I mean, it's something that you can verify. This is not YouTube. This is not YouTube.
No.
Now, football AG they use. If you check me like that, you get like 3 best certificates.
I don't want to celebrate.
No need to ask how. But
I don't want to celebrate the politician that was showing football game for us then.
Okay.
On the street, Ilesha, that's the bus stop.
Forget all this one. My own say I don't say you get like 3 best certificates.
We stand from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. to watch football game. In the sun, in the rain. So it's not something that...
Just for the fans, again, nobody's taking anything away from Arsenal.
Exactly.
But point is that just because the whole point of this is the whole point of things here is to analyze.
Something wrong with the person.
The whole point is to analyze. So we're just saying just because you went unbeaten does not automatically mean you're better than a team. Right? That's all we're saying. But at the same time, nobody can take away that unbeaten record from you.
I think one of the big problems with football fans and the competition that we like.
It's always like
it's either you're there or there.
Because you don't like this person.
But you can have those 2 competitions. And
of course,
what I like about the arrangement today is you have 2 Arsenal fans.
You know I had to sit down with someone one time.
Right.
I was not control
wait,
this person.
why you they press my leg?
You thought say you stand from 11 to.
Now what? The politician name na Kapo.
Fitness level, bro. Fitness level, bro.
Shout out to my Egbon Ayo Alabi. I used to do a show at the time, and when Ayo is trying to make a point, Egbon Ayo is trying to make a point, and you're not listening, Ayo hold your hand. Like, you this boy.
You have to
You this boy. This is what I'm saying.
I had to see.
Have you guys seen that video of Jamie Redknapp and Gary Neville going head to head on touchline at Brentford? He said, Jamie Redknapp said, "Look at me when I'm talking."
Bro,
look at me when I'm talking to you.
I was like, I was telling the person like, yo, it's when you're on television, there's the part, you have to line up with the facts, you have to get your facts right, you have to get all those things. But there's also the performative part. Like I was explaining to the person, like, there's the performative part. And even all around, the person that's presenting is
a little for the tummy.
The person that's presenting, it is also his job to throw up those things that look like they are. I'm not here to satisfy you. You don't understand? Like, that's not my job. Right. I'm not here to satisfy you. There's a job, and the job sometimes might satisfy you, sometimes it might not satisfy you. Sometimes.
I have to say that I think that Arsenal fans would agree that by and large, after the entire season, you have to admit you have enjoyed the podcast more than anybody else.
Arsenal fans, Arsenal fans.
Arsenal fans enjoy more than anybody else. Like, you know, you can be rest assured that 2 weeks will not pass. Arsenal commission will be off. So we started off, of course, this conversation because we wanted to speak about, you know, what the treble does to a season and how that affects, you know, nostalgia, hindsight, and, you know, a bit of like history. And we ended up, you know, tying everybody into it, right? Because I was also thinking, just to wrap up on that, you know, why would, obviously the Barcelona team, the 08-09 treble team was an incredible team. It was a machine. And in many ways, I think he's the right word, that team was divine.
Yeah.
And the one, he said he used the right word.
Why you defend me that?
I don't understand.
But there's that. But why would that team, for example, get more credit than Real Madrid, who did 3 peats to Champions League? Yeah, with the core, the same team. You know, as incredible as that Barcelona team were, you know, they did the Champions League just once and had to wait, you know, before they did it again. So when you say that, people think, oh, no, you can't compare. But like, you can actually compare the Modric, Cruz, and Casemiro midfield to that team.
You know
with
what
the Ronaldo in it as well. You know, but I guess that, you know, nostalgia has a real place to play in this. Right. Let's start off with your team of the season, right? And so, give us a team of the season. I think that when you're considering the team of the season, there are many factors that go on in our minds. You know, who won the Premier League title? Which runs did this person have in the team? I don't think you could put like, for example, you mentioned, you know, Kyle Walker would make a lot of people's teams. You'd be surprised. You know, didn't even cross my mind when I was making my team. So let's have yours, you know, for Premier League. Let's start with that.
Well, I'm starting with the Brentford goalkeeper.
David Raya.
Yeah, and third. Yeah, third for.
I can't remember mentioning David Raya. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, third
according
for,
to your
third
source,
for
in
clean
case it doesn't
sheets.
happen.
Third for clean sheets in the Premier League. You know, behind I think Nick Pope and behind David De Gea and Nick Pope. And you look at the team he plays for, Brentford, not as strong as Newcastle United and Manchester United, but he was able to.
So David Raya over David De Gea
and Nick Pope for me.
Nick Pope plays for who?
Newcastle United.
Newcastle and ahead of Ramsdale as well.
Yeah,
right.
Right. So and top 4 saves, you know, in the Premier League, you know, I think 176 saves, you know, thereabouts. You know, he had one assist last season, and his pass accuracy is also close to like 90 thereabouts. So that's why I'm picking.
I think the manager said he could play 10. That's a really nice.
Number 10.
You know, I think
profile.
United, please. Make it
do something
about it. I never had that.
I thought you said you didn't want a midfielder and go.
Bro, I don't change my mind now by force.
I thought you don't say Onana,
Onana converted me.
Bro.
He needs Onana.
Okay, go. Right back.
So my right back definitely has to be Kieran Trippier. You know, if you're an FPL lover,
that's a big candidate.
How good is your FPL?
I think I had close to 200 and
compared to the people you have. Forget all these numbers.
You say what was your position? Number 24.
Number 24.
Out of who? Number 27. Out of 27. You feel now.
What's your position? No, I came 10th.
I came 10th.
Oh, nice.
Out of 14 people.
But how many?
Well, I did well. I mean, the Hindsight podcast Wale came up with. I think I finished in the top 5. You know.
Oh really?
For the
Hindsight podcast. What?
Yeah. The one Wale created now. I don't know.
Right. Hindsight podcast gave FPL.
Yes, now.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good. They should play it. They should play it.
So I
Hindsight podcast gave FPL. Senior man, no.
Cabal did this thing.
Cabal did.
They don't do Cabal. Since the
season started, I've been following senior man.
Only God go judge Wale.
I have exhausted my quota of virtual games, man. I did lost university. But let's pick up the pitch.
Trippier, you know, with the clean sheet Newcastle had, it was instrumental with that free kicks, you know, corner and what have you. Then also William Saliba, was very instrumental in Arsenal, you know, going all the way, almost winning the Premier League title. And the injury he suffered, we saw its importance. You know, with Saliba in the team, Arsenal considered 0.96.
Please just give us this.
I will leave you to find that out.
I found it out already, don't worry.
I beg, give us
so
this
after
thing.
Saliba, Sven Botman, you know, that was signed from Leeds to Newcastle United. The first season in the Premier League, didn't look like a player that is just coming you know, to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Then Alexander Zinchenko also for left back. for me. And when you look at the fullbacks in the Premier League,
you go to the midfield.
Okay, so
Jesus.
my midfield.
But make you analyze now. You go
Casemiro-
just mention.
Make you analyze.
Yes, now.
That's how we just scouted the right
Problem
now.
is that this is mic 1, this is mic 2.
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, it makes a fair point. Partnerships.
So midfield,
don't know
Casemiro
biology.
definitely for me. United considered like 6 goals in the first 2 games, and when they bought him, I mean, I don't know why they
fixed
allowed.
it.
I don't know why they allowed Man United to sign Casemiro.
So just to make sure, your back four, David Raya, right back, Kieran Trippier, centre back, Saliba, Botman, left Zinchenko.
Yeah.
Midfield, you're starting with
Midfield,
Casemiro.
Casemiro, definitely. Then I'm also going with Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, he has to be there. And Martin Odegaard, for Arsenal also. Then attack, Bukayo Saka for me, Erling Haaland, and Marcus Rashford.
Brilliant. I think that in midfield, you only have one pick. The 2 picks are obvious. You have one pick in midfield, which is where we might differ a little bit. Ini, let's go with you.
I don't know about that 2 picks.
Exactly, because some names I said there.
He looked like he looked at my team of the year before he picked.
I'll be Arsenal fans now.
I've gone with Nick Pope in goal. He's very unassuming, but I think he's a really good goalkeeper. I think he's, in terms of, pure goalkeeping.
You think United should get him?
Yeah, pure goalkeeping ability.
He didn't get fined when
he may not be great with the ball at his feet. He's not a modern day goalkeeper. He's very old school. You're not going to beat him with. He doesn't concede sloppy goals. He's very good, very assured. In defense, I've gone for Ben White at right back. I've never seen Ben White as a right back, but what he did this season in terms of consistency, performing at the highest level consistently. Out of the 38 games Ben White played this season, I'm not sure he had 5 bad games. He was very consistent. So I have him at right back. I would have easily had Kieran Trippier there because I thought Trippier was very solid. Saliba was, I like to throw this word around, but he was world-class last season. I thought it was, every time he played for Arsenal, there was a confidence about what he was doing.
Even
when he made mistakes. Arteta said something. He said, when you see top players, when they make mistakes, they don't hide in games. Average players make mistakes and they hide. They get really scared. Saliba makes a mistake. He tries to pass out from defense.
Yeah, he does it again.
He tries this again. He's a confident lad. And I thought it was brilliant. I would have had Varane there as well. I thought Varane was very good this season. I would have had Martinez in my defense as well, but Sven Botman. I don't know, Yubi doesn't quite, every time I talk about Sven Botman, so assured in defense, comes into a new league, very not pacey, in a league that is very intense, not pacey, not really quick off the ground, but very assured, very thoughtful with his defending, his reading of the game is superb. And at left back, I've gone for the Brighton left back, Pervis Estupiñán. I thought Estupiñán was very good last season. I thought, for somebody who doesn't speak the language, playing in a new league, I thought he was really good. Going forward, defensively, he was aggressive, And in midfield, I think it's an easy pick, Rodri and Casemiro. I thought Rodri is a 9 out of 10 every time. I've never seen him have a bad game. Never seen him have a bad game. Casemiro, Nini has talked about Casemiro. He's coming. There were rumors he said he was going to come fix it, and believe you me, he fixed it. I thought it was unbelievable.
It's funny because, I was just reading, I was reading an interview, and he actually said, I'll fix it.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's coming and he's fixed it. And in the number 10 position, I know people will say I'm an Arsenal fan, but I thought Odegaard was different class this season. I've never been a fan of Odegaard, to be honest. I was one for get me James Maddison. I always liked James Maddison. I thought, James Maddison is very inspirational. But Odegaard is, when you look at him, you remember how playmakers used to be in the 90s, in the 2000s. That's how he is. He's a proper playmaker. He wants to make things happen. He doesn't really care about assists like that. But this is obviously he's pushed himself, in terms of building his numbers, striking more at goal, creating chances. I thought he was unbelievable. On the right-hand side of attacking a 3-prong attack, I've gone for Saka. His numbers are getting better and better. It's improving season in, season out. On the left-hand side, Rashford. That's why I said I thought he picked my team, because Rashford was unbelievable.
I think you're pretty much done. Because Haaland
yeah,
pretty much finishes on.
Of course.
Yeah.
I actually think you get me out of this city if I put all you want.
No KDB in your team.
No KDB in my team. I didn't think he was that good this season, to be honest. I've
Yeah.
seen better seasons from him than this season.
So honestly, yeah, in my opinion,
and then he had 16 assists.
You know, that's the thing. You have to judge it because we know he's a special player.
Yeah.
He can get those numbers in his sleep, but like, was he consistently better?
He takes free kicks.
Was he consistently
In my
better than
opinion,
those players this
yeah.
season?
The thing with KDB, just to wrap up, sorry, because KDB is a big player, you have to, you know.
Yeah.
I understand you taking KDB out of your team is that, you see, for the player is so good that he could play with any striker.
Yeah.
So good to play with any striker. In his sleep, he could find you. How much more easier was his job when he had open space to aim for?
First game of the season at West Ham.
Sorry.
Okay.
If he aimed his pass 2 centimeters higher, or it didn't make a difference.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Haaland was in that frame.
Remember the goal he scored against Haaland scored against United?
Yeah.
The pass around Varane and Martinez.
Varane
Now, that pass, if you look at that pass,
nobody else scores that goal.
That pass is a bit overheat.
Yeah.
He overheats the pass. But because Haaland has got long legs, he stretches and his desire.
Yeah.
So I get the point. You could never get it wrong with Haaland.
And more so when you have a striker who scored, record Premier League goals in the season, you would get those assists. Because I'm sure KDB counts for 10 of those assists to Haaland. So I understand that exclusion.
I mean, just to put it there, KDB is in my team.
Right.
But maybe some people might feel like, oh yeah, what's going on? Me personally, I'm more interested in how the football makes me feel. So we're now in an era where it's the numbers, it's the what have you been able to do? But I came up in an era of how does it make me feel? But then also I had to find a balance between numbers, how it makes me feel. So so there might be some names that I might mention. Yeah, so goalkeeping position. I was actually torn between the Brighton goalkeeper,
who is
Steele. His name is Steele.
Still,
Yeah,
but he hasn't played many matches.
He came in
because Sanchez started a lot of
make I
matches.
finish. Still, DJ Ramsdale. I was torn between these three people. And like I said at the beginning, I'm more concerned about how the game makes me feel. So I'm going to go with Ramsdale. The reason I'm going to go with Ramsdale is that I saw it's how the game makes me feel. It's like I'm watching the game. I can see this person is almost, all that needs to happen is the guy wearing a Superman on his chest in a couple games. I can see that there is I sabi play this game. This is how to do it. This is how to do it. This is how to do it. But it's also there is I am in the zone.
Right.
I am me. There's nothing you can do.
and you think that Ramsdale does that better than De Gea?
No, I don't think he does it better than De Gea. I think De Gea does that a lot, but I saw more of that. So it's about me.
So you picked Ramsdale.
So go with Ramsdale. I'm gonna go with Ben White for the same reason Senior Man mentioned. I've never seen Ben White at right back up until this season.
Yeah. And
to go all through the season and put up that kind of consistent performance, I had to put him there because it was easy. The other name I had obviously was Kyle Walker. So I'm gonna have there were other names that I put there because obviously they won the league. You have to they won the league. So Ruben Diaz is gonna go there, and Botman is gonna go in there, and Estupinian. I'm gonna go.
You have Estupinian in your team.
I'm gonna go Estupinian because I remember watching Ashley Cole when Ashley Cole came over to Chelsea, and there was something that Ashley Cole had. You couldn't say that he was better at defending than at attacking.
Yeah.
You couldn't say that he was better at attacking than defending.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
Because he just did. He just played. And Estupinian all through the season, I can't think of a game where I'm thinking he's been better going forward than he's been defending. I literally can't think of a game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Estupinian. I'm going to go Rodri. Like Cinnamon said again, I can't think of a game where he's had a bad game. I'm not the biggest fan of why people rate him is because he passes very well. I'm not the biggest fan of that. But the guy has entered the aggressiveness of the Premier League, the pace of the Premier League, and his passing is so good. His composure and everything. And now this is a name where I haven't seen a lot of people mention it, but like I said at the beginning, how the team makes me feel, how the player makes me feel. I'm going to go Caicedo. I'm going to go Caicedo because I'm going to go Caicedo because of, again,
Well, you don't get sauce where they tell us.
We're talking team of the season. Calm down.
Don't mind worry.
So Caicedo, again, how it makes me feel like when you watch a player, and it's almost like, yo, they can't stop that guy. Yeah, like it's not like he's better than everybody that plays in this position, but it's like, yo, they can't stop that guy. That guy, that kind of thing. So yeah, Caicedo, there's Rodri, there is I was looking for where to play because I was thinking 4-2-3-1. So it's Rodri, it's Caicedo. I was thinking where to put Odegaard, yeah? Odegaard has to play. Odegaard has to play number 10. So De Bruyne at right, going forward. Haaland at number 9, and Mitoma.
Ooh, yeah.
I had to go, because like I said at the beginning,
I agree with everything until that Mitoma.
No way.
Again, like
no
I said,
way,
no.
Again,
Again, like I said at the beginning,
Mitoma.
How many Brighton games did you watch this season?
How
All
it
the
makes me feel.
all the inclusions. I mean, Caicedo was a bit shaky.
And you know another thing. I considered. Because there were players that were really good. I don't write Casemiro. But I removed it. I was like, I wanted also like people. The only person that I put here that wasn't present all through the season was Kevin De Bruyne. That's the only person.
Right.
Because I looked at it and I'm like, yo, Kevin, Haaland scored the most goals, won the league, I'm gonna put Kevin there.
I'm gonna go reverse. The easy positions, Haaland makes the team for everybody, no doubt about that. Left, Rashford, when the guy plays that well.
I could have easily put Martinelli there. But I think Rashford was more instrumental for Man United than Martinelli was for Arsenal.
Yeah, which is the same reason I put Rashford on the left is the same reason I put Saka on the right, because I thought Saka was very important for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I'd have taken him out just on the grounds that at the end of the season he kind of lost his thing a little bit, but you can't, in a player's best season, that's not enough to take him out of the team. In midfield, I've left out Bruno Fernandes because
another hard choice.
Because Kevin De Bruyne is there. And I think that's the only person that's better than Bruno at doing what Bruno does. But if you look at the numbers, Bruno created more chances than any midfielder across European football. So I've left him out. It's a tough one. But of course, I went for Casemiro, Kevin De Bruyne, and I've gone for, who else have I gone for there? Martin Odegaard. I sang his praises here. The things I saw him do were reminiscent of a player at the peak of his powers, playing with supreme confidence. It kind of felt like at some points, only he understood the zone he was in. And you imagine taking him out of that team and putting him in a Man City, he would be flying, that kind of thing. So, and I thought the hard work from him was different.
Yeah.
The hard work was different. That's something I always felt like he was a soft touch. But I kind of felt like, he earned that captain armband, even though he would not be my choice of captain, because I think his demeanor is a bit too quiet. Yeah. But yeah. So that's there for the midfield. Left back, obviously, I think my mind has been changed by Stupinian, because it's not easy to play that kind of football, as a left back. I thought he did it very well. I wanted to go for Shaw, because I thought Shaw was solid this season.
Yeah, he was.
Shuffling at left back,
centre back. I actually typed Shaw, and then I changed it and put
actually have Shaw. Yeah, I've only changed last minute to a Stupinian. Centre back, obviously, Sven Botman. I went for, I put Ruben Diaz in, but I remember he did not play the entire season. So I've got to go with... No, I can't go with Martinez because I played Botman there. No. You actually, Botman can play. Botman is left-footed, right?
He's left-footed.
That's why I can't go with Martinez, because I would have played Martinez in that position.
It was brilliant.
But in the absence of that, I'll go with Rafa Varane. Because every time United did not play Rafa Varane, there was a real problem in the team.
Yeah.
You could sense that. And why I put Varane is, when I saw him in his first season, I thought, another player who's past it. But to come back and show that he was more hungry than anybody else, I thought he deserved it. Right back, obviously.
I would have easily had him in my team. I thought,
right back. I don't think any centre back is better than Varane in the Premier League. At that right, honestly. Right back, obviously, Ben White.
Good on the ball, pace off the ground.
Yeah.
Might lose concentration every now and then, but he's very assured. He's somebody that, you know, if you're a central midfield player and you look behind you.
Simply put, the Varane I saw last season was much more closer to the Varane I saw when he just started at Real Madrid.
At Real Madrid, yeah.
In the latter years, he kind of
his debut at, I think, 19 at Real Madrid.
In the latter years, he kind of felt like he needed Ramos to, as a hoster, you know, just to play well. But last season, what he was doing was reminiscent of a guy who was like when he was 21, 22. You know, he was aggressive. I think he's like himself, Martinez are one of the reasons United defend with the intensity they defend. That, you know, he comes out and makes sure he wins the ball. He doesn't let you turn. That kind of thing. And I think as well, this might be, of course, a bit of a stretch. I think that Lindelof benefited a lot from watching Varane because Lindelof almost started modeling his game after Varane. The defending style, coming out early to win and getting tight. So goalkeeper, I have to say that, you know, it was a tough goalkeeper choice, but I had to go with David here. You know, look, United clean sheets, yes, that's a standout stat. But there were games where if David De Gea wasn't there, United would have lost so many games and would have come close. So once again, I put David De Gea there, right?
De Gea makes saves that are, you know, when you hear commentators say things like, he didn't have a right to make that save. You know, he makes those, and I don't know, sometimes, you know, the game at West Ham that United lost, you know, the cheeky ball that he allowed on there, you know, I screamed, I said, this guy has done this deliberately. That's what I said. He's done, because I cannot explain a goalkeeper who makes inexplicable saves. Saves that, you know, the striker is already peeling off. You know, he's running away, celebrating, and the ball. There's a header, I can't remember to what team that I think it was against Brentford.
I think it was Iheanacho.
There's a header. I cannot explain, and I'm sure Iheanacho, if you ask him, you know, now Nigeria, if he's in jazzing you, because you cannot explain. That is heading into the top corner. That is a goal. You're peeling away, and you know, that's why when United fans get really frustrated and say, oh, he makes a lot of mistakes, I'm like, without this guy, you'd probably be in the top 7.
To answer that question, David De Gea was speaking about players being in the zone. I think he's one of the players that doesn't benefit off the team being stable, you know, and being quiet and everybody doing their job up the pitch. I think he's a goalkeeper that, you know, once he's switched on, it's hard to beat him. But once the tempo of the game is controlled, he can lose it a little bit. You know? So
facts.
That's why you can see him do 13 saves in the game when the ball is constantly flying towards him. But once, you know, the game is controlled and someone makes a long ranger or a free kick, something like that, it almost looks as if he just...
But is that not like as good as he is, if you're playing for a top club, if you can't find a way to put yourself at that level every game, then probably...
You know, Valdes had a problem like that as well. You know, when Barcelona were controlling games like that.
Exactly.
Let's go for Champions League.
No, I haven't done my Prem.
Oh, right. You haven't done Prem, no? Yeah.
So for me, that's why De Gea can be in my team. I feel the Man United defense in general should probably get a bit more credit than they have this season. I know they've had the bad defeats, but I think that was more of a team collapse. When you look at the stats, 9 goals conceded at Old Trafford all season, and 43 goals, the same amount of goals conceded at Arsenal. That's despite losing 7 and 6, and they conceded 43. So I think for me, my keeper though, as Rifai said, I think Man City again, maybe the tendency because there are not many Man City fans, but I don't think we give them as much credit. So I think Ederson, again, we're used to his brilliance, but when we talk about assists, he got an assist as well. And he's so key in terms of how they play. Again, being a Man United fan, De Gea, every game, I guarantee every single game, he has a kick out that is bad and goes straight to the opponent and get countered again. So he takes a goal kick, flat, the opposing team's midfield gets it, and they attack. So De Gea had a good season, but not quite good enough for me. And those lapses in concentrations, Ederson.
So Ederson over Odegaard, over
Ederson, Ederson
over David Raya.
Yes, because Man City and Newcastle had the same amount of goals, best defensive record in the Premier League, 33 goals conceded. So when you look at, he had the defensive record, he won, plus his ability on the ball. Nick Pope does not have that. Nick Pope, obviously very commanding and a good shot stopper. But I still want to give Ederson his credit for the role he plays on this team. I think he's quite overlooked. So Trippier, we've all said, I think he's been fantastic this year. Leadership, chances created, one of the top in the league from right back. You have to give him that. Diaz, he came in more towards the second half of the season and part of this change in setup, and they're just rock solid. when they needed to start getting the wins, grinding the wins, 90 minutes, he's there, he's vocal, he's always communicating, he's dragging all of them together. So I put him there. One person that hasn't been said is, for me, Lisandro Martinez. Yeah. Everybody that knows me on this, I'm very objective when it comes to this thing. When I see someone that comes into a team, other people in my list will change. He came into that team, a team that has been broken for years defensively, constantly getting, but consistently conceding 50 to 60 goals a season. And he came in this year, not just his tenacity, his leadership, his ball playing. He was almost an extra midfielder for United. Is there better? His left foot is unreal. His left foot is unreal. On the ball, what he can do.
Left-footed.
On the ball, the things he can do.
Left and right.
The thing he can do.
Is there anybody who plays?
Martinez good with his right as well?
No. I'm saying like in comparing right back. He's one of the best. I mean, he's one of the best because the way he controls the ball, he's almost like he's almost like a cheat code.
Who's the best in Europe?
Ball playing.
That's hard, though.
You know, naturally you would have gone for Ramos when he was still playing. In the years past, you go for
Saliba is very good with the ball.
Saliba is very good with the ball.
But Saliba is more like he's more good, like let's say like spinning and like take-ons, like body feints. Yeah. But when you talk about like pinging the ball and like the technique on the ball, like cause Saliba, he's almost like he's seeing in trouble, like three men around him. He'll turn, he'll do his spin, then he'll let the ball go. But like when it comes to like actual like control, so like almost like an extra midfielder. I don't see Saliba more as that. I see exactly when you stride out. Exactly, like he does that perfectly.
Naturally, it was a DM.
Yeah, he was a DM. Because I remember when Arsenal wanted to buy him, and there was a conversation that Arteta really wanted him. I think he wanted him in a central midfield position. He didn't want him in a left back position.
So left back for me again, another person that I felt came in, has his flaws, but came in and changed the way the team played was Zinchenko. Has his flaws, like I said, but he came in and there was a clear difference to what it was before in terms of how Arsenal wanted to play. He came
brought him in to
play a specific role, coming in centrally, his technique on the ball. He's basically number 10 at left back. Yes, he has his flaws. He's not the best one-on-one defensively. We all know that, but I think he made a very, very big difference to how Arsenal controlled and dominated games this year. Right. So midfield, I have the same midfield as Sinoma and Ini. Rodri, Casemiro, Odegaard. Rodri, for me, he took a big leap this year because it almost seemed like he grew. Yeah, almost like he became more physically imposing.
It's a physical thing. It's
so
a physical thing.
We know like he can control the tempo, but defensively he stepped up. Physically, he just seemed so robust this year. Casemiro, another player that came in, changed the fortunes of a team, brought in personalities, scored 7 goals as well, which is 7 goals in all competitions, which is very impressive. Odegaard, for me, I think the leadership, the numbers, the consistency for most of the season, I have to give him credit. Again, Kevin De Bruyne here, he got 16 assists. But this is, again, you have to, when you're comparing, it's almost unfair because you're comparing him to his best. And for me, this wasn't his best season. And just because you got 16 assists, I don't feel like you just automatically means you get in the team.
Yeah. That's the difference between stats and what
you can see. When I see what Odegaard meant to that team, the numbers as well, double figures for the first time in the Premier League, 22, captaining that team. I give him a lot of credit. So I'm playing a 4-3-1-2, which is essentially a diamond. Right. So for me, in the whole is Kane. No one's mentioned him. 30 goals this year in a team that considers 60-plus goals. He scored 30 goals. He broke the record, scoring in 27 different Premier League games. Yeah. I think he has to be there, and he's going to feed my 2 strikers now. So my first one is Rashford, who played left wing and striker, 17 goals. The reason why I give him a bit of a nod over the likes of Saka and Martinelli, because when you look at the ratio, what Rashford scored 17 out of, like the next highest scorer for Man United was Bruno Fernandes with 8. Yeah. Saka and Martinelli, they got 15, 13. Then you still have Odegaard, Jesus in double figures. It's like Rashford was carrying that team on his own after recovering from a broken back, like about 18 months ago. So I think Rashford has to be there. And obviously Haaland.
Great. I think I like Emeka still very much. Yeah, I like the. Too. Are you a Jose or Pep Guardiola fan?
We should.
That's a Jose team. That's a Jose team. That's a Jose team.
I think generally, like picking the team of the season in Premier League, like also like should give the viewers insight into the fact that nobody say I hate this player or that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure they know that about us and the podcast.
No,
right?
They think say, like especially UB and I. Like
the thing is always like beef.
They think say me. I hate Pep. They think say you be hate Arsenal.
No, that you be haters that no, that was not true. You hate Pep. That one not
You
true.
hate it.
No, I don't like Pep.
Look at this criminal.
In close quarters, I was rooting for Arsenal to win the
You
league.
hate
Actually.
Pep.
Look here, same here.
Legit, we were rooting for Arsenal to
Yeah,
win the league.
Arsenal to win the league. And maybe that's why I'm going to start hitting on them. Right.